and we were in a swim up bar, and there was like a little grotto, I guess you could call it, and we were just afloat and having a good time. And we bumped into two really cool girls that we were super excited to meet and like fangirl over. We ran into Ashley and Brittany, and we ended up like our husbands had to literally like pry us away from each other. And then we ended up being late to a meeting because we found our soul sisters. Literally, we were like, oh my God, it was so fun. So that's kind of fun. You want to share something, Amanda?
Oh my God. So we started talking to them and I was like, oh my gosh, I know these girls. And I was like, okay, it's cool, man, that they're only like the biggest names in Plexus right now. And so we started chatting with them, and they were totally like the best people. And we talked to them forever. What, we're like 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
It was like forever, I feel like. But we just love them, and we were talking to them about the business and how they're building it. And they were talking about Instagram. They couldn't say enough good things about it. So we were like, yes, 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 we have to get on this train and get with the times, or the train's leaving. Train's leaving the station. We need on it.
Absolutely. And Amanda and I will be full 100% transparent here. We're probably one of the last two Jewel ambassadors to kind of get on the Instagram train because we've had really good Facebook times. But we're going to put it out there and be real. Facebook is going to soon be kind of like the dinosaur age of social media, and Instagram is it. It's popping, so we need to learn the new. We've got to stay in. If we're too scared to try the change, then what are we even doing here, right? So we're really excited that I know it's by divine appointment that we like busted up into these girls, and we ended up having drinks and laughs and fun and just like made lifelong friendships with them. And so we're really excited. So we're going to let them introduce themselves and kind of take the floor. And I'm just ready. I've got my pen and I've got my notepad, and I'm ready to take all the Instagram notes. So I guess Ashley and Brittany, I'm going to turn it over to y'all.
Awesome. Well, let me just say, I love your leaders. Like, I'm on this call right now giddy because I'm like, oh, the people are all together again. I didn't think I was looking for relationships when I joined Plexus. The opposite. I was like, I don't have time for that. I got plenty of people I got to talk to. And I realized that was part of my life that really was missing, just some good girlfriends who get it. I'm going to get started a little bit, and then I'm going to let Brittany hop in and introduce herself when she gets ready to chat. But let me just say this about Brittany Hitch. I adore this girl. I adore her. I'm pretty sure my husband is in love with her husband as well. So I don't know how we're going to work all that out, but stay tuned. I love her. And I'll tell you guys, I just went Sapphire last month, and that means the world to me. And when I first got started, I thought to myself, okay, I've got to look at all the diamonds and just do what the diamonds are doing. But let me tell you guys, there are some diamonds like Jill who are busting it out and they're willing to do the hard things. And then there are some people who are just stuck. And so I quickly learned, you know what? I have respect for those who have gone before, but you know who I want to talk to? I want to talk to senior golds. I want to talk to rubies. I want to talk to senior rubies because they're the people who are making it happen right now. So I want you to know, as we begin talking about this, I have extreme respect, and I put high value on people who are willing to do the hard things, because if you do not adapt in this industry, you will die. You will absolutely die. The best you can hope for is the status quo, and that will only last for a brief moment of time. So that's why we've come to talk to you about Instagram. And Jill said it already. If your Facebook is rocking for you, keep going. But if you're someone who, like me, like I went emerald in 7 months, so I gobbled up that warm market, and then I'm like, I need some more people. Instagram was my answer to that. So Brittany and I are going to go over a couple of things. I'm going to start with branding. This is one of those things that people get really tripped up on for some reason. And so I want us to understand that it's actually very simple. Branding is simply who you are and what you care about. That should be really obvious to people. I joke with my team, if you feel like there's nothing interesting about you, you need to go get a life. Like, if you have started working your business so hardcore that you never take a shower and you never go to the playground with your kids and you never make a memory with a friend, we got a problem, sister, because now you have no content to share. And so I tell people, like, get your butt out of bed, slap on some makeup, and go do something. But even still, it's not about creating an illusion that you're something that you're not. People know that I'm a mom, and so they are just as tickled about a story about a blowout as they are seeing me go on trips to Hawaii. Your branding has got to be who you are and what you care about. If you're having trouble with that, I would go to a trusted friend. One of my power partners that I love dearly is Brooke Smith. And Brooke Smith was actually having trouble with this. She's like, when you look at me, who do you think I am? And I could tell her right one after the next, this is what I see when I see you. For example, one really clear distinction is when you look at Brooke's content, Brooke is not someone who leads with products first. She leads with the business first. And so part of her brand is really just kind of this boss babe, entrepreneurial woman. And so you can kind of ask yourself, what's my strength in this business? Is it leading with the business or leading with the products? We need to be strong in both, but knowing which one you are is important. I would say aim for 3 to 5 things to describe who you are. On Instagram, you have a highlight section where you can literally dump your stories into buckets of your highlighted material, the things that you care most about. And so when you go to my Instagram account, you're going to see that I have a highlight for my story, which is about health and wellness. You're going to see I have a highlight about beauty and fashion. You're going to see I have a highlight about my family. And you're going to see I have a highlight about farmhouse decor because I love to decorate, and that's kind of the community that I gravitate towards. So branding is the first thing. These are strangers that you're trying to attract, so they need to know what you're about. And before I kick it to Brittany, the one thing that you want to understand is you're not trying to attract all of Instagram. It's impossible. There are millions of people on Instagram. You're trying to attract the people that you have the most genuine influence with. So for example, you can probably guess that I don't have a front row seat to a conversation with biker moms. Just not my people. Love them, but we don't have much to talk about because I'm like, put that top up, don't mess up my hair. So you want to understand, like, find your people and connect with them because those are the people who are going to listen to what you have to say. So Brittany, you want to talk to us about what our feed should look like and then a little bit into storytelling.
Yes. Okay. Hi, guys. When Jill and Amanda asked us to do this, you can only imagine like the fangirl moment that we were asked to do this. So I'm Brittany. I did not go emerald in 7 months. Only unicorns do that. That's not normal. I went emerald in July. It took me 16 months. And this business, just like Ashley, I've written about it in a few of my posts where Plexus answered so many of my questions, but the ones that it answered were ones that I didn't even know that I was asking. And one of them, like Ashley, was the friendships. I've had a lot of like friendships come and go in my life, and this is a place where I have cultivated friendships that are lifelong. And these are people who get it and they love Jesus and they're like-minded. And I can't even tell you, like, I mean, they say that people join Plexus for one reason and they stay for another. And I think the community and the friendships is a huge reason to stay. And part of that community is Instagram now. So I still am technically in my warm market in Facebook, but I started my Instagram when it's like, what was it, in like 2010, 11, whenever it first came out. So I have like been growing it since then, and it's not grown super fast. But I've been pouring into it and I share my life. And so one thing really quick that I want to talk about is that your feed needs to look pretty. If you have this super captivating post, but your picture is not captivating, they're not going to read your post. So let's say you want to write this amazing post. You can post a picture that has nothing to do with your post. If it's a beautiful photo of your family, or like, so especially when it comes to Plexus post, I always lead with just a really cute picture of like my kids or my family, because I know that's going to draw them in and they're going to read it. So I've seen it happen before where people will post a picture of the products and I'm telling you, Ashley, tell me if you disagree. You never want to post a picture of the product bottle. Okay. Thank you. Do not post pictures of the product bottles. Jill said, shoot it straight. I'm going to shoot this part straight. never post a picture of a product bottle. I've made the mistake before. I'm so guilty of it, but I know now, don't do it because it looks salesy and it's not genuine. I mean, it is genuine, but it's kind of salesy. So if you're going to talk about the products, if you're going to talk about a testimony, if you're going to talk about something, do not post a picture of the products. Post a picture that's captivating that will draw them in. And then there are apps that you can get. Actually, the one that I used to use was called Planoly. There's a few different apps you can get where you can actually lay out pictures that you're going to plan to post so that it looks beautiful in your feed. I am not as organized or as much of a planner as I would like to be. So I honestly post fly by the seat of my pants. I don't have them planned out like a lot of people do. And I would probably do better if I did, but I don't. But what I will do though, is I'll look at what my last picture was, and then I'll come up with what I want to talk about next. And I'll be like, okay, well, this one had like green grass in it. And so I need the next one to be more white, or I need it like the next picture can't have grass in it. If that makes sense. That kind of sounds silly, but you have to visualize the way your feed's going to look. So if one picture is super detailed and up close, the next one needs to kind of be like far back, or a different aesthetic. Also, Ashley and I were talking about like simple things that some people don't necessarily think about. When you take a picture, don't zoom in with your camera. You can always zoom in later, but you want the highest quality photo, okay? So don't zoom in with your camera. Make sure your lens is clean because that can make it a little bit blurry. These small details, I promise you guys, will go a long way. I don't know if you want to talk about this later, Ashley, tell me if you do, but another huge thing about making your feed look beautiful and cohesive and put together is presets. Is that something you want to talk about later?
No, go for it.
Okay, so this is different than a filter, okay? Filters, just slap on a filter, whatever. Presets are in Lightroom, and that might be an app you've never heard of. But this is what professional photographers use. And they literally go in and set specific contrasts and highlights and temperatures and all the things. And they have it ready for you. And so you like pick whatever vibe of filters you want. And you can go on Instagram and type like different presets. There you go. That's like a different preset. Yeah. What Ashley's holding up, if you can see that.
You guys see the difference?
Yeah, it's huge. So there are so many different options on Instagram. If you search presets, you just find the vibe you like. If you like more warm tones, find a warm preset. And then what happens is we can do like a tutorial of like the how-to later, I guess. But you put it on your picture, and then you can always adjust things once it's in there, because it's usually a one-size-fits-all, but sometimes you got to make it brighter, sometimes darker, or adjust a few things. But it's usually just like put it on there and you're good to go. And it is so much better than just using a regular filter. And that way, when you look at your feed, it all looks the same. And it's not super out of place. Things look like they belong there. And the color scheme is the same. And when someone goes to your page and sees something like that, they're going to take you so much more seriously. They're going to be like, oh, this person's got their crap together. They know what they're talking about. It looks more professional. Look, could put it a little closer. Yes, that's Ashley's page. And just the colors, like the color scheme, is so cohesive. So yeah, that is just the way your feed looks is kind of, there's so many different step ones that we can talk about, but that's kind of a step one, is start making your feed cohesive. And then I'll talk about one more thing, and then Ashley can go next. One thing, so funny, Ashley, what do you call me when it comes to posting? What do you call me? The what queen?
You're the content queen.
Content queen. So you guys, content, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, content is something that I am so passionate about. Take the extra step to write good content. I'm all about working smarter, not harder. And if you see a good post, you can reuse it, change a few things, make it your own. But I can't tell you how far it goes to write good content. So if you are on Instagram, we're talking about Instagram. Sorry, if you're on Instagram and you have this beautiful picture, you don't have like great content to go with it. It's just a pretty picture. If you have a not pretty, like a not captivating photo with great content, that's not good either, because no one's going to read it. you have to have a captivating photo and great content. And what I mean by great content is you have to be adding value to people's lives. Nobody's going to stick around your Instagram page if you're not adding value to their lives. If you're not sharing about your life, if you're not giving advice, if you're not just adding value. So one thing with the great content is being vulnerable. And that is something that Ashley is phenomenal at. And I'm sure all of you, Ashley is amazing. And this is something that I've been working on too. I posted a super vulnerable post yesterday. And Ashley does this all the time, is letting people into your lives. I'm sure a lot of you guys follow Marianne Anderson. She's like another Instagram queen. If you watch her stories, she has a ton of stories every day, but what she does is she shows her face, which is one thing that's huge. And she talks to these people that she's never met like they are her best friend. And this is something that I am working on because I get like nervous about videos. And I did a video today on my Instagram and I got like at least 3 messages in the first 5 minutes. Like, girl, show your face more. We love your videos. Keep doing it. And it makes me uncomfortable, but that also tells me if I feel uncomfortable, I should probably be doing it more, you know? So show your face, be vulnerable. I don't know how many of you guys were at convention. I don't remember if it was John Maxwell or Chrissy Wright. One of them said something so profound that I will never forget. They said, vulnerability is the first thing that people want to see, but the last thing that we want to show. And I cannot even tell you how true that is. Like, we want to like kind of protect ourselves and put up a wall. But when it comes to Instagram, if we are real with people and we let them into our lives, you'll know when enough is enough. But you want to let people in because you want them to connect with you. And the more real you are, the more and the longer that they will stay. So Ashley, if you want to elaborate on that, because that's a huge topic and that is so important. You can't just be surfacey on Instagram. Like, here and there, you can be funny and lighthearted, but you have to let people in so that they know you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just crucial. And like we said before, Instagram is strangers. These are not people who have a relationship with you. They have no reason to feel connected with you unless you give them that. And I think we underestimate how desperately people are searching for connection with other human beings. And I believe when network marketing is done correctly, that it is one of the most selfless industries that you can be part of, because it takes work to open up and to put yourself out there and to build those connections with people. The other thing about engaging content is, from a numerical perspective, you have to captivate people's attention from that first line, because Instagram is going to grade you on how much time people spend on your post. So if you don't grab them in that first sentence and they don't even read the rest of the paragraph that you wrote, Instagram will say, okay, numerically, this was not that valuable to this particular reader. So I want to go through a couple of my opening lines that I've done in just the last couple of days. This one said, how do you unwind in the evenings? And then began to talk about how my husband and I spend our evenings. This one said, 4 years ago today was one of the worst days of my life. Again, a sentence that begs people to go, what happened? And this one was a big one. Well, it happened. We have our first bully. All of those sentences are intros that make people go, I got to read the rest of this, or I have an opinion about that I would like to share. You want your content to kind of like, I look at it in terms of fours. So I want my content to be vulnerable. I want it to be inspiring and educational. I want it to be funny, and I want it to be relatable. So I try to tap all of those kinds of touches. Brittany, again, you have to follow this girl. Her content is just beautiful. I am not like saying this because I worship her, which I do. There is no other person in Plexus with better content, period, the end. Industry standard right there. And this is something that companies like Young Living have really figured out faster than us, but we have better products. We have a better compensation plan. And so if we will get with the program in terms of beautiful content that people want to engage with, it's going to take us from $1 million company to $1 billion company before we even realize it. Tagging on with content is the consistency of stories. And I'm going to have Brittany jump in on this one too before we talk about our last point. Your consistency on Instagram is so important. And this is one of the things that honestly makes people just kind of want to quit. You're used to Facebook where you just throw up a post and let that baby work itself all day long. That is not the way that Instagram is going to work. You're going to make your one great post every single day in your feed, but your stories are where people get to know you. Your stories are where people get to understand what is your brand. And like Brittany already highlighted, you have to show your face. You absolutely have to. I have this running bit with my followers right now because I can never remember what day of the week it is when I go to talk to them. Like literally every day I'm like, hey guys, it's Thursday. It's Thursday, you know, and it's honest to goodness. The other day I was in the middle of recording a story and looked out my window and realized it was snowing. And so my viewers got to watch me run and go tell my story and show them how it's snowing in the middle of October. It was awesome. One thing that will help you in your stories, it's an app, one word, I'll type it right now, called Cut Story. I love this app because I can record a minute video regularly on my phone, and then I upload it into Cut Story, and it will dissect it into 15-second segments that I can upload into my stories so that when you're watching it, it looks like one continuous shot. It's a lot of fun because sometimes you don't want to do a live video. The thing with stories, you want 10 to 12 stories a day. You want your face in there. You want funny things, inspirational things. This is where you would put memes and all that kind of stuff, not in your feed. Instagram is Target, Facebook is Walmart. If you think it's Walmart, put it in your stories. Do not put it in your feed. And this is where Brittany and I like to do a lot of polls. Again, Brittany's stories that she does for Plexus, which again, they're telling a story. It's, 10 different pictures that all tell a story in a row. Her content is bar none. And what it does is it allows us to prospect, which I'm not going to jump into that quite yet because I want Brittany to expound upon stories and things that she finds valuable in there too. But being able to put your face out there. Guys, I just got off of a call tonight because the attraction marketing happens in these stories. Just got off a call tonight with an Instagram influencer. She's got an organic account of about 8,000 people. And we just fell in love with each other watching each other's stories. You know, she's got this thick Southern accent, and I just found her hilarious. She has a daughter named Nora. I have a daughter named Nora. She has PCOS. And so this whole time I'm like, gosh, I can help this girl, but I wanted to build a relationship with her. So I would post a story and shout her out. She would post a story and shout me out. We'd watch each other's and comment on it. And before you know it, this is how we built a relationship with total strangers on Instagram. So Brittany, I want you to talk a little bit about what are your must-haves in stories.
Okay, so like Ashley said, your feed has to be beautiful and it has to be really captivating and all of that. But I'm telling you, stories are where it's at. If you're just posting on your feed and you're not doing stories, you're not doing Instagram right, and you might as well stick to Facebook. There, I said it. Your stories, you guys, I know that the majority of I know that almost all of my Instagram signups come from my stories. And it's because I'm working on, like I've said, I'm working on letting them into my life. I'm working on being more vulnerable. I'm working on letting them see my face more because that is not my strong suit. I'm not good at videos. So that's something I'm working on. Ashley and I practiced in the pool in Maui. We had to have tip lessons. I'm not good at it yet. I'm working on it. But the one thing that I will say I'm decent at is coming up with like graphics for my stories. When it comes to Plexus posts in my stories, I will almost never share a testimony on my feed, but you're ridiculous. But I will make people's testimonies into graphics for my stories. So what I will do let's say it's a testimony, I'll go into, I have this app called Unfold. This makes everything beautiful and makes it simple and clean. It's one of my favorite new ones. Before Unfold, I used to use Word Swag, and sometimes I still do. That's another really great one. So I'll go in these apps and I will take a testimony that I find on Facebook, one that is not too long, because you don't want it to be too long. If it's too long, people will tune out, and it has to be short, sweet, relatable, to the point. So I'll take it, and I'll usually like chop it up into like 4 different slides, maybe more or less. And I will just go to that person's Facebook, whoever story it is, and I will find 4 or 5 different pictures of them. I will chop up their story, and I will turn it into a story on my stories. Okay, how many times can I say story? And so then people will tap through it, and then at the end, I will always end it with a poll, because people can read stories, but they might not take that next step to message you. Like, they might resonate with the story, but they're not quite ready to reach out. So by ending it with a poll, it's basically them saying like, hi, hey, please message me. And there you go. You can send out your 5 new messages from the day or 10, whatever, from that. It's amazing, because it really is them like kind of crying for help, but not bold enough yet to message you. So I love doing that. Sometimes I'll do stories of just like, hey, did you know this? And just different like health facts, or I'll do like a story about myself, about the business, and how like I don't even have a college degree. Like, who am I to make 6 figures doing something like this? I don't even have a degree. I couldn't even finish college. Okay. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids, and I don't have a degree. So I'll like share about the business and these trips. And you know what I mean, I know that this is a totally different subject that we'll maybe touch on either later today or in a different Zoom or video, but I try to just really rely on attraction marketing. I want my life to look attractive. I want my story to look attractive. That's part of my brand. I won't half-ass, or at least most of the time, almost none, I guess. No, I don't. I don't half-ass usually anything that I put up. If I'm going to put it up, then I'm going to take the time. And you guys, it takes work. I probably spend more time than you want to making these stories. But it's worth it, because it looks really pretty and people appreciate it, and then they relate to it, and then we build a relationship. So if you're not doing stories, you're not doing Instagram right. So take the time to do those. And it should be a mix. Like if your 10 to 12 stories for the day are all Plexus, you're doing that wrong too. It has to be a mix of your real life and a mix of Plexus. They have to feel like they know you. They have to feel like they're a part of your day. And then they can also see something else you're passionate about. This is something that not everyone agrees with, but this is what I personally do. So I'm going to share it. I never say the word Plexus, ever. You can look through all of my stuff, and I never say the word Plexus. I think maybe in Maui once I did, because I was there because of Plexus. But I never say it. And it's because I'm always really careful, because I never want to come off as salesy. And so some people might think that it's a little extreme to never say it, but it also creates curiosity. Like, well, then what is she doing? Like, what is this? So say it if you want, say it, or don't say it if you don't want, but I don't say it. And I don't know, it works for me. So do your stories.
I love it. Now, Brittany was talking earlier about the importance of vulnerability. The flip side of that coin is empathy. It's important for us to be vulnerable with other people. And then the way that we build relationships with people is by empathizing with them when they share their story with us. And that's usually what vulnerability is going to create. It's going to create a reaction from people, whether it's a comment on your post or a direct message, which is usually what happens with me. Here is where I see a lot of people begin to screw up their prospecting before it even takes off. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen someone reach out, because I have my team, they'll screenshot stuff to me, or people ask me to give them advice. And someone will say something really vulnerable, like, hey, I saw the information that you were sharing about that girl's story. You know, I have PCOS and we've had 2 miscarriages. I was wondering if you thought Plexus products could help me. Here's the biggest mistake people make. They start talking about products immediately. They completely like roll over the fact that this girl has just talked about she's had 2 miscarriages. And I'll tell you where I find people are connected with me and staying with me is because I take that extra step of, oh my gosh, I had no idea, like, how was your husband? Like, are you guys okay through that? I know whenever we've gone through something like that, it's been really difficult. And we begin to build a relationship. It's so important. And I bring that up to help you understand everything that we've talked about right now is marketing. Marketing is only 50% of the job. Now it's time to prospect. If you're putting up beautiful content and a beautiful poll on Instagram and you don't message those people who vote, you have failed. Your mission has failed, because we've also got to take the step to prospect. Brittany and I have been working at this for a while now, where I would say my recruitment is 50-50, prospecting and attraction marketing. I have lots of people who just reach out to me. I worked hard to get there, but the way that I got there was through intentionally prospecting. So if someone is commenting on your stuff, go and look at that person's profile and give them a follow if you're not following, and saying, oh my gosh, I saw your comment, it meant so much, and your feed is amazing. Do you use a preset? Or I saw you've got 2 kids, I've got 2 kids too. Just look for things where you can create conversations and get people talking about themselves. There's nothing that people love more than to talk about themselves. One of the big problems that I see, other than people just not being able to empathize and going right into sales mode, is they talk way too much. And Instagram is a place where this needs to be a date. I joke with my team that, think about if you went out to dinner for a blind date and the guy talked the entire time. Like, you would leave that date running for the hills. But if he's sitting there and he's going, so tell me about your family, or what do you do for fun? Or do you like this restaurant? What are some favorite restaurants in the area that you'd like to go to next? Even that question makes an assumption that this relationship is going to continue. And so you want to be really strategic with that. So if people are liking, commenting, viewing your stories, voting in your polls, messaging you, even if they're not, you go watch stories and you message people. You go down the line in people's feed and comment. This is all about creating connections with people and learning when you have an open window to start talking about Plexus. Those polls are a major green light. I usually have, I'll read it to you. I have a script that I use, and I always mention the person's name. And there's 2 reasons why. 1, I want to be authentic and connect with people. But 2, if you're just copying and pasting and like going down a whole list of likes, Instagram is going to shut you down. Like, they're going to see you as spam. So I just say to people, where's my scripts? I say, I have a little heart and I put their name before it. Hey, so-and-so, I was so happy to see you voting on my poll about Plexus products. What questions can I answer for you to help you get started? I like that question because it's not a yes or no question. So it means I'm going to get them talking, which I think is really important. So guys, those are my tips. Brittany, is there anything that you want to add to that?
A few things that I just thought of. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook, what Ashley said is like hits the nail on the head. Network marketing is all about relationships. So even if, let's just say it's on Facebook Messenger, because this actually happened to me a few times last week. Someone would reach out to me and they would say, hey, I've been watching your stuff. Like, I'm really interested. Tell me about it. Before I even address that they're interested in Plexus, I ignore that part. And I'm just like, hey girl, how are you? It's been so long. Like, your kids are getting so big. What's new? I ignore the Plexus part because I still want to build that relationship, even though they reached out to me. Or they'll reach out and they'll tell me about like the issues they have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But like, hold up. How are you? Tell me about your life. Because that's more important. The sale comes later. That's like, we want the sale, obviously. But that comes later. The relationship is the most important. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook, always do that. Never ignore those things because those are personal things. That's not easy to share if you're a private person. So always recognize that and make them feel valued and heard. Another thing is Instagram. It's kind of like a full-time job. So if you really want to build your Instagram, take it seriously and know that you're going to have to put in some work, but I promise you it's going to be worth it, because at some point you're going to tap out on Facebook and you're going to need to get into a cold market. And the best cold market is Instagram, because guess what? When you message strangers on Facebook, people think it's weird. They're like, I don't know you. Why are you messaging me? Facebook's for friends. Instagram, you can message strangers all day long and it's not weird. Like, that's what's expected on Instagram, is to connect with strangers. So it's beautiful. There was one more. Oh, last thing too. So another like really, really fun way to connect with people, if you're just going to tap, which I don't recommend like doing your IPA tapping through stories. That's not your IPA. But if you are tapping through stories, I would say to respond to as many people's stories as you can, because that will start conversations and it could naturally lead to Plexus. If you see an old girlfriend from high school and she posts this real silly picture of her daughter, you can message back and be like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. Like, but by the way, how are you guys? And you start a conversation. Like, responding to people's stories is like the best way to connect with people. So those are the last three things that I thought of. There's obviously so much more that goes into Instagram, but we really hope that this helps, and maybe we can do like a round 2 at some point to get a little bit deeper into it. But this is like the basics of like a really good way to dive into it. And I promise you guys, if you put in the work on Instagram, you won't regret it, because Instagram is where it's at. Promise.
Love it.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, so I have a few questions. Can I ask y'all some questions? I bet everybody's kind of thinking the same thing. So I know we hear from a lot of different people about, like, when you get followers, is there any specific like method you go about? You see so-and-so started following you. Do you kind of creep them and see, are they a Plexus person and not Plexus person? If they're not a Plexus person, do you send a type of message to them, or do you just kind of put them on a list?
Brittany, you want me to do that one?
Yeah, go ahead. I think might do it a little bit different, but yeah,
I've gotten enough momentum on my account that I don't message every single new follower, but I used to, because I still think that's valuable. And when I have time, I will do that. And I'll just send them a little message like, hey, thank you so much for following me. And sometimes I'll say, like, I'm a pastor's wife, mom of 4. I love farmhouse decorating. Tell me a little bit about yourself. But I treat everyone like they are not a Plexus person. And it's so funny. I can't tell you how many Plexus people have messaged me and don't know that I work for Plexus, because Brittany and we're very incognito about it. And I'm like, I'm actually a sapphire.
Well, I've gotten that a lot too. And that was kind of my question. And I will have random messages in my Instagram, and it's like, hey, Jill, da 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 da. Have you ever heard of Plexus? I'm like, girl, I'm a diamond. Like, what are we doing? You know, like, I'm like, are people doing this? But I'm like, maybe they just didn't put it 2 and 2. I don't know. And so I'm like, is there something others are doing? So, yeah.
And let me just say this. I think it goes without saying, but if I see Plexus in your handle, I'm going to fly to your house and smack you across the face. I'm like, y'all, why don't you just go ahead and lift your shirt and show them what you got? I mean, come on, like, create a little bit of mystery here. Yeah. But get way more than you would think. Like, you know, like,
and it's so true what y'all said about, you know, taking the word Plexus out. You can totally get the message across. Like, I challenge everybody on here, like, write the post you were going to say. Go ahead and say Plexus 9,000 times. But before you post, just take the word out. It'll still flow. It still will. There's a lot of other things that you can say besides Plexus. Natural supplements, you know, anything like that. My health journey, what I've been doing, but you put the word out to you. So I love that y'all address that. Another question that I have is hashtags. How do y'all feel about hashtags? Is there, like, you see certain people put them in the post, certain people put them in comment 1, some people do 50, some people do 4, some people use the same, some people never use the same. You feel like there's some that's better than the other?
Brittany, do you have strong opinions on this?
No, I used to hashtag, and I feel like it's a good thing, but I stopped because I started reading more blogs that said that, like, they don't get you that far. I don't know. What do you think about it, Ashley?
I know that it used to be you wanted at least 30, which I think the max is like 31 or something like that.
Because I read an article this past week on it. They were like, the Instagram of 2017 was 30, but the Instagram of 2018 is like 5 to 15. So I'm like, is accurate? Are we changing? Yeah.
That is accurate. I only do 5 to 7, and I try to make them ones that have like a couple 100,000 followers or less. If you are putting hashtags, like if I make a marriage post and I do hashtag marriage, you think I'm going to be able to compete with the millions of people who have used that hashtag? No, I'm not. But if I do something more specific, like marriage matters or making marriage work, you know, and it'll tell me how many thousands of people will see that, I'm far more likely to get more followers from that. You can also follow specific hashtags. So there are certain groups of people that I intentionally prospect, and I follow hashtags that I know that those groups of people would use so that I can see more of them and follow more of them and build more relationships with them. But I don't think that hashtags make or break my business by any means.
Okay. Awesome. So I would want to.
I don't feel like hashtag make or break either. Like I did it for a while and I still do, but I haven't lately actually. But the times that I did is like, especially when I post a picture of my girls, I'll do like hashtag mom of girls or girl mama or like those things, because I obviously want to attract tired moms. So that's the main, like the majority of the times that I would use hashtags, but I haven't lately. I never really knew what I was doing with hashtags either. I kind of just threw them up and then hoped for the best.
Right? I'm like, do I even click on them? Do I even go back?
Definitely not things like hashtag plexus, hashtag gut health, hashtag, plant-based supplements, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a ton of Beachbody and Plex people messaging you. So understand your hashtag, if you're using it, is a homing beacon for people to find you. Know who's going to find you and if you want them to find you.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. So one thing I do want to ask both of you, if you had to give us a homework assignment tonight about Instagram, if we were your team and you were like, I want y'all to tackle this, what would it be?
For me, I think the biggest thing would be planning out your posts. Brittany said earlier that's not something that she does, but frankly, guys, it's because she's magical and this is second nature to her. But for Joe Blow, who just signed up for Instagram, the best thing you can do for yourself, and here's a way that you do this. For me, I decorate my house with farmhouse decor. So I'm going to get my house all clean, and then I'm going to put my kids in the basement and turn on Nickelodeon, and I'm going to take 100 pictures. And from those 100 pictures, I'm probably going to get 20 pictures that I really like. I'm going to apply my preset, and it's going to look amazing because it's all the same lighting in the same setting. And then I'm going to have my content ready to go, because I find it's generating that post, because stories are easy, guys. It's so easy to snap a picture of the cereal that your kid just spilled and be like, all right, anyone else having a Monday around here? That's easy. Creating the content for your feed is not the easy part. So if you give yourself a lot of material to work with and you're thinking through inspirational, vulnerable, motivating things to say, that to me is the hardest part. So I would make yourself have your entire week of posts done on Monday and just go right through them and boom, the very next week. If you can do that, that's the hardest part, in my opinion.
I would say that just because I don't plan mine out does not mean that you shouldn't, because I should. The problem is I don't, and this is something that I should plan to do. I should probably plan to go take a bunch of pictures like most people do who are successful on Instagram and have them ready to go. I haven't done that yet, and I need to, because I have built like a decent Instagram, but I have a lot of work to do still. So I would do exactly what Ashley's saying, is plan out your posts. One, you're going to feel way less stressed. I wake up every day, not when I wake up, like that's being dramatic, but like every day I'm like, well, I should post on Instagram today, but what am I going to post? I don't have a picture. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Like if you can make that like maybe like your Sunday habit is planning out your Instagram, that would be amazing, because then that's already taken care of. So definitely do that. I would say for your homework, go find a preset, do some research, go on Instagram, find a color scheme, find a vibe, find something you like, pick a preset. They are anywhere from like $6 to $100. They can be anywhere in there, but find something that you love that you want your feed to resemble. Because that is honestly one of the first steps, is making your feed pretty. Find yourself a preset and work from it. Someone commented down below that they said they want to start their Instagram completely over. You can. I've seen people do that. You can delete everything and start over. You don't have to do that, because those are all your memories. You can just start from here. And actually, one of the fun things is if you go to some Instagrams, you can kind of like scroll through. It's like the progression. Like you can see like where they started and where they come from. And it's actually kind of cool. So I've seen people delete it
before the call and looked at that, because I was trying to teach my husband. He's like, he is so social media idiot, and he's like, what's the Instagram, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, like look at Ashley and look how much it's changed. Now she looks like a professional. Down here she looked like a normal mom 2 years ago. Like exactly. And he was like, okay, but seriously, you can totally see it. Yeah.
Yep. If you go back to when I started my Instagram, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing.
But you
It's
know,
really embarrassing.
it's giving yourself grace. And I have to tell myself, when I started working Plexus on Facebook, I had the same profile picture for 3 years. I hardly ever did anything. And, you know, I've gotten very good at Facebook. I've gotten a lot of following there. I've gotten a lot of better about posting a graphic. And it's just giving yourself grace. Think about all of us when we first made our first post about anything, or our first live video, or first day at work. We all have a starting base. So it's just giving ourselves grace.
Totally. Absolutely. And Brittany just said it even in what she was saying. She's like, I have not arrived. And guys, you never will. Here's the thing. I trained on this today. Last year, I went Emerald in September, and then we navigated a new back office, the retirement of Old Slim, and the Facebook algorithm change. And guess what? People shut down and freaked the heck out. And I decided during that time, I am not going to die in this ditch. I am going to innovate, and I am going to keep going. And that is where Instagram popped into my life. And so I feel like if we can say as a group of women that we are devoted to being constant learners and learning from people who are better than us, and then passing that information on to people who are coming up, we're only going to find success in this. You can feel overwhelmed, and you can feel even mad that you have to adapt, but don't stay there, because we just gonna crawl right over you to dual status.
I love it. I did see somebody ask a question. How do y'all feel about like quotes? What do y'all think about graphics or quotes on your main feed? Maybe something that's simple, black and white.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
I do it sparingly.
Okay. Because I've seen people's, I guess, rhythm, and it's like, you know, black and white, something photo, picture of a real picture, black and white, something. So it's like a checkerboard. Yeah.
That used to be me. I used to do every other quote or every other picture was a black and white photo. And now I do them sparingly because they're funny, you know, or they're inspirational. But I make sure that they fit my feed. You know, like there's one right there at the top. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that fits my feed. It's nice and clean. Brooke Smith, for example, when you go to her feed, it's very like lots of color and tropical. And so her quotes are in hot pink and white, you know, and that fits her style.
For sure.
My problem with quotes is that some people use them as a crutch to not create beautiful content. So
I also just feel like quotes don't always get the engagement that you want. I feel like they're easy to skip over. For me, if I do a quote, I usually put it in my stories.
Yeah.
I was doing those for a while, like every other one. I would do a quote, like a white one. Here. And I lost followers when I started doing that. And I was like, whoa. Okay, let's change this back to, you know, the way that I was doing it. And I found that if I like the quote, then if I put it to a picture or something like that, I get a bigger response out of it than just the graphic.
Totally.
That's super smart to take the quote and move it over to something else. So I know my team hears me say this a lot when I talk and train anything about posting, changing up posts. I'm very big on like, if you got a Snapchat filter as your profile picture, you're doing it wrong. Like we should not be scrolling and seeing like dog ears and unicorn glitters, and we shouldn't see a selfie every single day. Like if you go to your Facebook, because I train a lot on Facebook, because that's what I'm comfortable with. If I'm looking at your feed and I scroll for a week and I can count more selfies than anything, that's not it. Like people don't want to see your face that much. How do y'all feel like that on Instagram as well?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I recommended to my team, you can get a tripod, a Bluetooth tripod at walmart.com for $15, because people need to see movement in your photos. If every photo is you like, that's a problem. They need to like, and preaching to myself here. Again, my partner, Brooke, she came to me one day and she's like, I never see your body, like ever. What's up with that? And I'm like, because I don't like it. I don't really want to put it out there. She's like, well, suck it up. Go take pictures of your freaking body. And guess what? once I did, boom, like 450 organic likes, because people saw more than just, the version of my face that I wanted them to see. And so now I use that tripod to take pictures of me like working at my computer or hanging out with my kids. And it's a huge, huge blessing, because you have to be giving people variation.
I like that, because the other thing, you have a redneck husband or somebody who's not with pictures, and I'm like, could you take a good picture? And he's like, you're like,
oh, yeah, my husband and I need counseling when we start that whole thing. We were in Hawaii. It is humid. I'm pouring sweat. And I'm like, can you take a picture of me? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I am a network marketer. Yes, now. Can you take this picture of me? I'm like, forget it. I'll take it.
I can't tell you how many times I'm like, no, I need to be like laughing and I need to be walking or something. He's like, well, don't move because now you got 4 chins. I'm like, are you serious? Like, what are you doing?
Well, and then I choke. I choke because then Bridget and I walk by and I'm like, I'm not taking pictures of myself at all. Why would I do that?
But in the end, I love that you said that, because we are network marketers. Like, this is not something where you're like, oh my God, it's vanity. I'm boastful. I love myself. I mean, obviously don't sit there and just, oodle and oodle, but like we need to. Every so often, we've got to have a candid shot on there. We've got to have a full body, us looking away and laughing or something. And it is kind of awkward. It is, but our job is network marketing and we're on social media. That's what people want.
Yeah, y'all, one time I did a story where I like had all my makeup done and my hair was all bouffanty, and I was like, hey, what's up? And I was acting all put together. And then the next shot was me with the hat on. I was like, joke's on you guys, because I got a bald spot in the back of my head and I'm rocking this hat to Walmart, and it was just this like, you see what I want you to see, so just know, like, I'm about to go incognito to Walmart because it looks like Blanche Devereaux back here, because I don't know how to use dry shampoo like a normal human being.
Oh, ladies, I love it. Amanda, do you have any other questions or things?
Okay, so this is probably a lot for people that are not familiar with Instagram. Hopefully they took notes and they're going to just take baby steps. But I just want to know, like, or for you guys to like let us know, like, this isn't something that happens overnight. You're not going to gain all this Instagram momentum like boom, like magic. Right? It takes a little bit of work and some time, just like everything else.
I started with 3,000 followers, and I would say I started professionally working my Instagram in July, and I now
this year.
Okay.
Like
and I started learning about it in November. So if you go and scroll my profile, you'll see, oh, sweet baby was trying to figure out what to do with her life on Instagram. And I have gone from 3,000 followers to 12,000 followers since November of last year. Okay. That happens more rapidly now because I know what I'm doing. But it was really like me getting on Google and going, how do I get people to follow me? Like, how do you make a highlight? What is that? Which I'm always surprised.
But I love that you said that, because Google is huge. And this is just me. I'm learning too. And I know, like, after this call, it's what happened. We're a team, we're a unit, we're a tribe. And people are going to say, Jill, how do I do a highlight? How do I do a story? Like, we just have to go to the Google. Guys, like, Rachel and I, like, laugh, and Amanda, we're in a little 3-way chat. I'm like, I don't know. Rachel's like, I'm headed to the Goog. I'll figure it out and let you know. We're like, Google for the win. I have no idea. I'm just Googling along the way. So just, if you don't know, Google, and then you'll have something to share.
Yep. That's all I got. You answered all my questions for now.
I know it. Well, ladies, we appreciate it so much that y'all took the time, and know that just like with Plexus, and just like when we tell our customers and ambassadors, this is not a quick fix company for product. This is not a quick fix company for business. We're not going to get skinny overnight, rich overnight, and I don't think we're going to get 12,000 followers overnight. This is going to take years of our work. Just like most of us have been in here for months or years growing a business. This is going to take time, because we're going to treat it like a full-time business. This isn't going to be some, AOL Instant Messenger, brand new, hey, I'll post pictures of my grandkids once a week thing. Like, we're going to treat Instagram like a business, because we want to get paid like a business, and we want to keep up with the times. And I bet by 2020, it's just going to be just Instagram galore. And everybody on Facebook is going to be Mammal. that we check in with her to know that she's still rocking and she's going to see us and take our Easter picture. And that's about it. Like, I really do. I think it's where we're going. So I'm going to say full vulnerable here. It's scary for me. This is new for me. I've been dabbling, trying to figure it out, but I'm ready to cannonball and belly flop and figure it out. So I hope we're ready to do it. But we're super excited. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Guys.